In all my years of making and drinking cocktails, somehow I'd never heard of this drink. It's called a right hand, and today I'm going to show you two epic versions of it. The first based on the original recipe, which I'm going to show you, and then the second taking it in a completely different direction using 3 of my favourite homemade infusions that are super easy to make, really, really delicious, and give the drink a completely different perspective. So, without further ado, let's start making some drinks. Alright, welcome back to the Coffee Cocktail channel, everyone. I'm Dan Fellows, and before we get started, a big shout out to my friend John Lister, who actually sent me a message the other day saying you should try this drink called the Right Hand. And I honestly had never heard of it in my life, which I'm ashamed to say, because it's such a delicious drink and one you should definitely try. John suggested that the Right Hand would be a really delicious drink to pair with coffee, and he wasn't wrong. He's never wrong, to be fair. But we're going to make that today with 2 versions, the original version, and then we're going to make the leveled up version using 3 of my favourite homemade infusions that only take a couple of seconds to set up, and they use really simple ingredients that you can get hold of really easily and no special tools. So stick around till the end of the video for that. But first of all, we're going to make the original right hand. So before we get started, I should talk about what exactly a right hand is. And essentially it is a Negroni kind of variation in that it contains a spirit, Campari and sweet vermouth, but there are a few key differences that make it a completely different drink. First of all, the base spirit's different. Second, we have a different ratio of ingredients, which gives it a really different balance. And third of all, there's an ingredient in there that kind of seasons and bridges everything together, that takes these very disparate flavors and harmonizes them together really, really nicely. So if we want to track the kind of lineage of 2 different drinks which are related but actually quite different, so we have a Negroni over here and a right hand over here, we can actually see the different drinks that have led from the evolution of a Negroni to a right hand. So a Negroni over here is equal parts gin, sweet vermouth and Campari. And if you switch out the gin and add in bourbon, you get a drink called a Boulevardier, which is a really delicious riff on the Negroni because it gives that kind of aged spirit, which is very different to the gin. So Negroni to Boulevardier, the next step is the left hand, where what we do here is change the proportions slightly. So we lean into the spirit, going to 50% spirit, 25% Campari, 25% sweet vermouth, using bourbon again, and this is a drink called the left hand. And this is the first time we incorporate another ingredient, which is a spiced chocolate bitters, or a Zocolatl Mole bitters, I believe it's called. And this is a really subtle change, but that spiced chocolate note really kind of brings the booziness and roundness and age from the bourbon to the fore, and the Campari and sweet vermouth essentially underpin the drink. And this drink, the left hand, which was created by Sam Ross in New York City, is considered the counterpart to the final drink which we're making today, which is the right hand. And the difference here is that we switch out our bourbon and we incorporate a Caribbean blended rum or aged rum, and this really does change the dynamic of the drink quite considerably. The right hand was created by a bartender called Michael McElroy at Milk and Honey in New York City in around about 2007 and 8, and we're going to make that now. So for our right hand, we're going to need a few ingredients. We're going to need an aged Caribbean rum. I'm using black top rum, which is a really delicious option. Going to use some Campari, sweet vermouth, some of our Zocolatl Mole bitters from Bittermans, and then 2 forms of orange for our garnish. Fresh, which we're going to zest over the drink for a bit of aroma, and then dried, I'm using blood orange here as our kind of final garnish on the drink. So it's a stirred drink, so let's build that now. So first of all, we're going to go 40 mils of our black tot rum, but you can use your favorite aged Caribbean rum for this. So black tot is a blended Caribbean rum made from 60% of rum from Guyana, 35% of rum from Barbados, and 5% Jamaican rum, giving it a really complex and tropical flavor profile of mango and pineapple, with a little bit of that kind of spiced toffee coming through, and a really quite strong, profound flavor of coffee in there as well. So very much my kind of rum, with lots of flavors that I really love to work with. And we're going to take some of these ingredients and apply them to the second drink, which we'll make shortly. So 40 mils of that. Then we're going to go 20 mils of Campari, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. Got those really nice kind of bittersweet notes, some citrus in there, some kind of rhubarb. Very, very delicious. But if you don't like the high bitterness of this, you can also use Aperol, which is a really good substitute. We're going to go 20 mils of sweet vermouth. I'm going with Coque Historico, which has their really nice kind of herbal notes, winey complexity, and again, some of that kind of chocolate and coffee coming through. So we're hinting at coffee in here without actually adding coffee to the drink. And then the final ingredient, which kind of bridges all these together, is 4 drops of our spiced chocolate bitters. Going to give this a stir down over lots of cubed ice. And I actually recommend stirring this for a little bit longer than you normally would, because we've got quite a high ABV on the rum, which is 46%. So you don't want it to be too intense and too kind of booze forward. So give that a little taste. just about right. So we're going to strain this into our frozen glass. We're going to garnish with our double orange, the first of which being a zest of orange over the top of the drink, which really brings lots of aroma and kind of adds a citrus, zesty nose to the drink. And then on top of the drink, just going to garnish with our dried orange. And there we have the delicious cocktail that I'd never heard of, but I'm really glad I have, called the Right Hand. So let's give this one a taste. The Right Hand. Cheers, everybody. It's such a complex drink. It does have those kind of Negroni reminiscent vibes because we've got the Campari and the vermouth in there, but the rum really changes the dynamic of the drink. And I think the hidden gem in this drink is our spiced chocolate bitters, because this changes the dynamic so much. It becomes like a chocolate orange with the orange aroma. The spiced chocolate really comes through as well. Hints of coffee, weirdly, even though there's no coffee in the drink. And it's just extremely complex. Ingredients that shouldn't necessarily work together, really tying in nicely and creating a very harmonious final drink. So this is a drink I think a lot of people are going to love, especially if you like a Negroni. It also has a real clear Manhattan kind of influence in there as well, and if you love rum. So give this one a try, but also stick around, and now we're going to make a delicious pre-batched coffee right hand. So for our coffee right hand that we're completely changing the dynamic of the drink with, we've got 3 different infusions, and the flavor profile of this drink takes inspiration from one of my favorite flavor profiles of any coffee in the world, which is your kind of tropical fruit flavors, so passion fruit, pineapple, mango, your red fruit flavors, your berries, so ideally some kind of strawberry flavor, and then some dark chocolate flavor. And this was the flavor profile I found in the coffee I served in the World Barista Championship a few years ago, and also in this particular coffee, which is roasted by Darkwoods Coffee, and it's an Ethiopian coffee produced by Ashanafi Agor, who's a famous coffee producer, incredible coffees, and it's got exactly the flavor characteristics we're looking for. This flavor profile is the kind of inspiration behind the drink, and we've got 3 super easy, really delicious infusions that deliver that flavor profile, as well as tying in with the inherent flavors of the ingredients we're adding. So you can easily make this drink as a single serve using the same proportions as we did in the classic right hand. But what I'm going to do today is make a 5 times batch, which means you can keep this in your fridge, serve it over ice, and you're good to go whenever you want to drink this drink. You can scale it up even further if you're having a party, and it should keep in the fridge for a really long time. So scale it up easily, and we're going to get started. So first of all, we're going to go 200 grams of dried mango rum. And I actually made a dedicated video all about this, which I'll link just above so you can make this. But essentially it's a 1 to 10 infusion of dried mango to golden rum. And you leave this for around about 3 days, if not a little bit more, to get a lot of that flavor coming through. Pass it through a paper filter and you're left with this delicious mango rum. For this infusion I did 24 grams of our dried mango to 240 grams of the rum, but you can scale it up or down as you need. I actually used a slightly more affordable rum in this, which is an Appleton 8, but you can use whichever rum you want to. Next up we're going 100 grams of our strawberry top Campari, which brings those really delicious strawberry notes in a kind of zero waste way. And the sweeter and better the strawberries that you use, the better this drink's going to taste. You're going to get all that really nice, rich, sweet strawberry flavor coming through. So I actually picked these strawberries a few days ago, which are from a local farm to me, and they're super sweet, really ripe, very uniform, and really delicious. And all I did is eat the strawberries and save the strawberry tops. So we infused 1 part of the strawberry tops into 3 parts Campari. So I did 40 grams of our strawberry tops to 120 grams of Campari. Leave this to one side to infuse. After around about 3 days, pass this through a paper filter, and you're left with your really delicious strawberry top Campari. And then the third ingredient I'm going to add is 100 grams of spent coffee infused vermouth. And I'm using the same Cocky Storico again, 10 parts of this infused into 1 part of the leftover ardent coffee. So I made an espresso, which I've got here. And I infused the pucks with that 1 to 10 ratio into the vermouth, left that again for around about 3 days, passed it through a paper filter, and you have your delicious spent coffee sweet vermouth. So even if you don't have an espresso machine, that's totally fine. Any spent coffee grounds will work for this. Next up, we're going to add our Zoccolatl Mole bitters. And in the original recipe, we get 4 drops. So because we're making a 5 times batch, we're going to go 20 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 17, 18, 19, 20, which is just under a gram. So you could easily leave it here, bottle it up and keep it in the fridge and then stir it down over ice to serve. But what I quite like to do is pre-dilute my coffee right hand. And in this particular spec, I'm going 100 grams of cold water. So now this is ready to go. You just want to bottle this up and keep it nice and cold until you're ready to have your coffee right hand. The fridge will work really well, but if you want to get it really cold, you can put it in the freezer just before you're ready to serve, but make sure it doesn't fully freeze, although it would probably make quite a nice slushy. So now all you need to do to serve is take a nice cold glass with lots of ice, pour your coffee right hand over, garnish with a strawberry, and there you have it. Enjoy. So there we have the pre-batched coffee right hand. Cheers everyone. It's actually quite different to the original right hand. The coffee really comes through, but the mango I think is the real key there. It tastes like one of those liqueur chocolates you used to steal as a kid that were like boozy, but also really sweet. But then you've got that kind of bitterness that as a kid you didn't like, but as a grown-up, I really like. Super tasty. The quality of strawberry is really important here as well. You want that nice kind of fresh sweetness. And it's just mellowed down a little bit. I think the dilution's perfect. I think as it calms down, it really settles into something like an old-fashioned or a Manhattan style drink. Really rounded, really delicious. Mango, strawberry, chocolate, coffee. It's a match made in heaven. So this video has been all about the right hand, which is a cocktail I'd never heard of before. But now I want to hear from you. What's your favorite underrated cocktail that you love to drink that most people haven't heard of? I've heard of some pretty cool ones recently that we're going to share in the future. So if you've enjoyed this, which I really hope you have, you can subscribe to the channel by clicking just here, which really goes a long way to support the channel and help me making more and more videos like this. And you can also click here for more pre-batch Negronis, if this is your kind of thing. And just here for how to make coffee saccharum, which is another ingredient using leftover spent coffee. So make sure you enjoy the next video, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Cheers everyone.